Hey, right now on the show, we're going to be taking a look at the next Australian television show that's getting a collection released on DVD thanks to ViaVision. This time it is Stingers. Now, if I went nuts about A Country Practice being released on DVD, I'm going extra crazy for Stingers because I think Stingers would have to be one of my favorite television shows of all time. This was almost like Australia's answer to The Shield. It was an absolutely amazing television series. We'd been so used to cop dramas in Australia almost being family friendly. Of course, we had Frank Gilroy in A Country Practice, and your kids could sit down and watch that. There was Blue Heelers that didn't get edgier until it nearly wrapped up. And in the early days, kids used to sit down and watch it. I can openly remember being at school and kids talking about Maggie and PJ. It was a show that you could watch with the whole family. Stingers kind of moved away from that. Stingers went into this darker side of Victoria Police. It actually came about from the memoirs of a former undercover police officer who wrote the premise of the show, and a lot of the episodes that followed came from his stories and things and cases that he worked on while he was undercover. Given that this was a show about undercover cops, it was a lot darker than what we were kind of used to. And in fact, the first season is probably one of the darkest seasons, and we see a character leave in the first season in an absolutely horrific way. And I can remember going to film school and talking to one of my friends about what we'd seen with this episode, and we were just all shocked. And it still shocks you now. Like, this collection that ViaVision have brought out of Stingers, it has the first 4 seasons on there. And sitting down and watching the first season again, it still shocks you, even though you know what's coming up. And we were so used to kind of here in Australia, when characters left a television series, it would always be in a nice way. And this wasn't in a nice way. And I think it kind of shocked a lot of people, but it also showed that Stingers was going to be doing things a little bit differently to the shows that we had seen previously. Now, the core group of cops that this follows, especially in this season 1 to 4 set, is Peter Church, played by Peter Phelps, Constable Angie Piper, played by Kate Kendall. The big boss for most of this series is Bernie Rocker, played by Joe Petruzzi. Later on in this set, you actually do see Ellen Mackenzie, played by Anita Hegg, become the boss, so there's a great transition there. And of course, Ian Stenlake's Oscar Stone as a character. Because this does actually have seasons 1 to 4, you also see Daniela Mayo, played by Roxanne Wilson, come in there, while Jessica Napier's character is in the first couple of seasons as well. But this is just a truly amazing show, because I think this show had something that most other cop dramas in Australia didn't have, and that was the fact that it was being based on real cases by a guy who was there for all of these cases. He was able to tell his story to the screenwriters, and that really enhanced it. In fact, Stingers, to me, going back and watching it now, it actually kind of reminded me of what we saw with Underbelly. It didn't have the same amount of swearing and stuff as Underbelly, but there was a lot more violence in Stingers. The characters seemed a lot more believable, and once you kind of realised that they weren't above getting rid of a character in a horrific way, you almost started to wonder, whenever there was a little bit of a cliffhanger, what was going to happen. And watching seasons 1 to 4, of course, you see Church suddenly find himself being blamed as the key suspect in a murder, and you actually wonder what's going to happen. There's also always this threat in this show that other police units kind of see the undercover unit as basically corrupt. So there's always allegations being thrown towards your favorite cops in this series. But look, this is just an absolutely amazing series to sit down and watch. You will find yourself, even though this is 4 seasons of the show, you will find yourself sitting down and watching all of this back to back, because you start binge watching. You can't help yourself when you're watching Stingers. It is so well written, so well acted. You're going to get a bit of a bonus out of this if you live in Melbourne, because you'll see landmarks that you recognize. But look, there's a reason why this show aired in 65 different countries around the world, and that is it's a damn good show. So, go out and get yourself a copy of this Stingers Seasons 1 to 4 set that ViaVision have brought out. 5 stars all the way. There is no way this was going to get any different of a rating for me, because, I absolutely loved this show, and it is amazing to have it out on DVD. So 5 stars for Stingers Seasons 1 to 4 set out now through ViaVision.